I got started in thinking about the relationship between water resources and politics pretty naturally. I grew up in going back and forth between California and the Middle East, and in both places, the scarcity of water, the allocation of water, is really intimately tied to the politics of both regions. So the first part of the database was simply it was a 3-year project to find out how many basins are shared between 2 or more countries around the world. And the answer turns out to be quite a lot. We're up to 286 basins. It's about half the land surface of the Earth. 80% of the world's water originates in basins that are shared by 2 or more countries. So basically, when we're managing water, more often than not, we have to manage it across international basins. I thought, like a lot of people, that science was going to provide the solutions to big policy issues. And I found out quickly as a scientist, my first training as a hydrogeologist, that it doesn't. Science provides a framework within which to explore different problems, but it doesn't give an answer. The relationship between what you find as a scientist and the human process then became deeply fascinating to me and very useful to me. I really started to get interested in basically the way we thought through problems pre-Enlightenment, where rationality and spirituality were actually two sides of the same entity. Overcoming that barrier of the rational approach meant exploring spiritual traditions and trying to understand how those traditions understand things like conflict, like anger, discord within a community, and what tools they use to help bring healing. It's in some ways, very similar to what we do, but in other ways, it's deep, much, much richer. I've sat in rooms where everything leading up to those meetings has suggested the problems are simply intractable. And from the outside, most of them are. Water is zero sum. If you get some water, I get less. The idea that people make a jump to thinking about their shared needs. When do you need the water? Maybe I can use it after you. Now it's not zero sum anymore. Or maybe if I warm it up, maybe it's useful to you, or maybe it's less useful to you. So you start to think in nuance. So you start with our positions that are generally in competition with each other. Then we move to our needs. And once we look at the nuance of needs, often we can find ways, but even beyond that, deeper than that, are the shared values. From the shared value, over and over and over, I found people being hugely adaptable, creative, and willing to think beyond the rigidness that brought them into the room.